Hello and welcome to Happy Foot Sad Foot, your live post-game show. I'm Darren Miller.
I'm Vince LaRosa.
And boy, was that a wonderful Saturday game. We really
It's not even Saturday. That's the best part.
You're right. It's I guess I was hoping that I'd get some of the weekend back. That was a truly terrible nightmare that we just witnessed.
Yeah, your weekend was front loaded, Darren. You should have gotten everything
really
out and all the joy that you were going to have for the weekend. You should have known. You should have done it beforehand. Front load that so that just in case.
I got to plan better next time.
Yeah, the just in case happened. So you got to plan better.
Boy, oh boy. I want to say there's a lot to talk about. I don't know if there is a lot to talk about.
There's enough to talk about.
That was trash.
If you want to talk about it, if you want to talk about things that happened.
Yeah, let's talk about things that happened. Let's start there. We went down 3-0. We won 2-1 if you're talking about who scored the goals.
Yeah.
That's one way to put it.
Yeah, unfortunately, that would be a different game. What if soccer was a game in which you could score on either goal?
That's true. That's true.
I'm not saying that that's what should have happened, but I'm just saying, think about that, people. Like, let's extrapolate that. What kind of game would that be? It could be a fun game.
It could be a fun game. I mean, we would be at an advantage off the bat. I hate to interrupt us so quickly, and I especially hate to do it for this reason, but we have a super chat from our friends at Laughing Scorchers. Champagne Watch. I don't know what to take from this. Thank you for the super chat.
Oh, don't you guys have like three weeks off of nothing? That's why they're here. They have nothing better to do for 3 weeks.
Yeah, they're here to celebrate our loss. But
go win another penalty shootout. All right.
These guys are feeling very hopeful that they'll see Vancouver and not us in the next round. So that's understandable. I totally get it. Where should we start here? That was. I think they definitely did outplay us. That said, there was a lot of bad luck in this game that I counted. Not that I want to blame it on luck, but it was just I just want to say how frustrating it was to watch us be on the bad luck end of every sort of chance thing that occurred. Every bounce went their way when it could have gone their way. Didn't go our way when it could have gone. I mean, there's two goals that were just complete, like, pinball deflections, one of which they scored on, one of which we should have scored on, and it just went right to the goalie. Like, that's just one of many examples. I don't know. Can you explain, like, tactically how they beat us?
I can say that
is it something they did that is repeatable?
So I think tactically they were kind of the same. The one maybe major change was personnel. By putting Fafa Picault out there. And I think that he did trouble Kike Oliveira a lot, caused him, especially in the first half, he caused him to defend a lot more in areas he does not want to defend. In 1v1 situations, he doesn't want to defend. So putting Fafa Picault in the starting lineup after not starting him in the first game was a very good move by Vanni Sartini. It worked out well for him. He doesn't actually score any of the goals, but like I said, it makes Kike Oliveira really uncomfortable for a whole half. And he's simply completely ineffective. But to your point, like, ultimately though, it comes down to you make a mistake and a goal goes in that's, it still bounces around a little bit. And then you have, a bit of bad luck. And I think if I'm Steve Trundle and I'm looking at the game and I'm trying to, like, sit with my coaching staff or sit with my players, I'm saying, like, look, guys, there's 2 moments early on in the game where they could have gone either way, but guess what? They didn't go our way. So what did we do after? And if I'm him, I'm upset because I'm saying, like, yes, they scored twice in the first 13 minutes, but then you guys had another 30 minutes to actually, like, put something on the game, knowing that, like, put something into the game, because it doesn't matter how many goals they score. Like, you just have to win. There's no aggregate. Like, you might hold back if it's an aggregate score and say, like, okay, well, we don't want to go too far forward, but they did nothing. They wasted a half. And they were much better in the second half because they were much more, they had their intensity level up. They played quicker. Their decision-making was better. Yes, the quality wasn't there to finish off the final move. And there was a little bit of, obviously, bad luck that went their way too. But if I'm Steve Cherundolo, I just say like, well, guys, why did we wait this long? Why did it take halftime to decide to play the way we played to start the second half? And that's what I would be most concerned about if I'm Steve
Yeah.
Cherundolo. And that's probably my biggest takeaway from this match is like, you guys just kind of sleptwalked through that. Like they punched you twice, right square in the nose, and you guys you didn't do anything about it. And so that would be the most frustrating thing for me. And then other takeaways, like it's personnel again. So if Fafa Picault, I would assume is probably going to start in that same position. He's going to put Kike Oliveira in some bad spots. Maybe Kike Oliveira isn't your right wing back for that game. And then I think the other decision is at your other wing back. They played a very narrow defensive line. And if I'm Ryan Hollingshead, I'm wanting to take more advantage of that. And he just really didn't. He didn't do much for me. So I'm maybe thinking, okay, maybe Omar Campos deserves a shot because I don't think Ryan, he doesn't have it right now.
Yeah. The own goal struck me. Honestly, I don't really count that amongst the bad luck. That felt like that ball wasn't coming at him so hard that he couldn't have handled that correctly in that one moment, which isn't even what you were getting at, much more sort of like play to play positioning. But yeah, all around it felt rough. I also felt like at halftime, Travis is here joining us now as he gets ready. I'll say also at half, it felt like it seemed like they were encouraged to play with a little bit more long balls and pass into space more, which they were having trouble finding before. And I feel like the turf, I'll talk about it later, but I think the turf was a way too big of a factor in this game. But it felt like coming out of half when they started to play better, they did find longer passes that worked and they were passing into space more, but they kept doing it once they got into the box. And it was just like, well, no, when you get there, pass to a guy who can score. That was so frustrating to watch too. It was like, oh, you're getting it. Wait, why are you just still like passing it to nobody?
The crossing,
the last pass is still to nobody, really?
Yeah, the crossing was really bad. And I know a lot of people have been asking, like, why did we even get Giroud if he can't do anything? But like, if they can't find him, like I thought they were very good to start the second half. They made good adjustments. To your point, they were able to find some areas where they could play centrally and then play quickly wide and actually get behind the defense. And that's a moment where Giroud can feast. If you can get him the ball somewhere near the 6-yard box, but they didn't. There's not one single pass that even came close to connecting with them. And that's a quality problem. The turf doesn't help, but that's a red flag that would be worrying again, because it's like you wasted a whole half. Then you actually did start to play better and you still can't like pass it to the really fucking tall guy that's right in the middle of the box. Like this should not be hard.
Travis, how you feeling?
So sorry I'm late. I had to finish sucking off Vanni Sartini. I was just sitting on that. I was like, I was like waiting my time to say I was busy. He outcoached us. You got to give him his due. Look,
Travis, you didn't have to do that literally though.
It's fair's fair, right?
Yeah. Okay.
That's fine. And also sometimes the giver gets something out of it.
I'm glad you're back on this now.
I'm so happy to be here to talk about this incredible game. I think we're all feeling great. I want to get it out of the way quickly because I think you guys are talking about smarter stuff. It fucking sucks to watch games like that where like you've invested so much in this team and you feel like we've been playing so well and the team just didn't fucking show up in the way. Like there were hundreds of people watching at Hollywood Forever Cemetery, excited to watch you play. And you come up there and you just don't fucking give it your all, right? It just was a team that was like, well, this game kind of doesn't matter. And it's just annoying to watch games like that where it felt like the players were less invested in it than I was. And I think like whether or not that's true, it felt that way. And it's frustrating to be a fan when those sorts of things happens, especially in the playoffs, especially when the Galaxy are finishing it in 2 games and we're talking shit about the Crew dropping out. It's like it's harder to talk shit about the Crew today when we play a game like that. So I just want to say that. And also Vanni Sartini, he's a good guy, and I'll never say a bad thing about him. Yeah. Okay, great. Gentle lover.
Yeah, I was supposed to say you must have really like.
Before we get too far,
Aftercare.
Adam, who joined us from Vancouver last time we played them in Vancouver, was there again and is here again. I want to bring him on.
Can we blame Adam?
Oh, wait a second. Adam, what do you think?
We won last time I was here.
That's right. That's right. Okay.
Yeah, but what did you do wrong this time? That's what we want to know.
Adam out.
My wife wasn't here this time, so that's probably it.
Bro.
There we go. There we go. It's always something.
Well, Sadford, obviously, as you guys said, the first half was terrible. Second half, we certainly had a little bit more drive, but weren't finishing anything. Happy Foot, at least since we're going to play a third game, hopefully we get through it. And Seattle will not play a third game, so they'll be off for 3 weeks. So at least we'll be in form, hopefully.
Yeah, that is kind of nice with this format. If you can say anything, at least for us personally, and that's all we care about. We don't care about any other team. Is like it doesn't actually affect you to have to play it. It's like they're like, hey, let's end an extra game, and so if like teams have to play a third game, like they're punished for it. No, actually, we'll give everyone a week off. So no, you're not punished for it at all.
And then
also we're seeing some of that in the chat as well. Yeah, it's very weird that they do that. And
then also I put it into the Discord, but. Team Security Paul took my Tottenham kit to get Hugo Lloris to sign, but he got Giroud to sign it. So now I have a.
Oh no, that's awesome though.
Now I have an Arsenal player sign my Tottenham kit.
All right, it was that kind of night, I think.
Exactly. I think that's where it all went downhill.
That's so funny. Well, first of all, I want to say thank you for taking a photo with the scarf at the stadium.
I love that everybody's talking about my bed. There's a sweater on it. It's not unmade. There's just a sweater that makes it look like it's not, like. And why do you guys care so much about my bed, weirdos?
You live in filth, Vince.
Well, that's true, but that's not what they're saying.
Adam, tell us what it was like to be there. What was the vibe in the stadium? I imagine, they think it could possibly be their last game. Were they excited at the start before they scored? What was the vibe like after?
It was a very good vibe in the stadium. Everyone was very excited and singing along. And, rightfully so. They dominated us. So, let them have this one. And I didn't see a crazy amount of LAFC supporters on this go around. I saw a little bit last time, but, maybe with this, playoff system and second game where, obviously it doesn't matter, but it still does matter. It was more of a Vancouver vibe and not much of an away vibe there.
I do want to say we got a super chat for you, Adam, specifically from Nut, $5. My contribution to the Send Adam to Galaxy Matches Fund. Adam, any interest in going to Minnesota? No, I guess it'll be Carson, right?
It's always Carson. If you want to play for my my plane ride home, I'm more than happy to do it. I'll take one for the team.
We'll see what those super chats will look like. Adam, thanks for always going and repping the pod up in Vancouver. Sorry you saw a big old turd tonight.
Man, well, let's go Friday. Take it easy, guys. Bye.
See ya.
Right. Safe travels.
It's a bummer that we're all such in a bad mood because they scored 2 goals in 3 minutes, right? Like it's not like we had a great game, but it was 2 goals in 3 minutes.
It's not like Bawanga couldn't have scored and then maybe made it really interesting either.
We just needed one, man. It just was. You could tell from the beginning it wasn't our night, and it does worry me a little bit. For how you guys feeling for Game 3?
I really feel like I think I'm gonna say that there were like vibe factors more than most people that contributed to how everything went awry tonight. And with that in mind, I am also going to be the one to say that I'm not worried about playing them at BMO.
I mean, it's even not just in games here. I think it's even in luck. Like if you're Vancouver, you're saying we hit the post in the first couple of minutes and then LAFC got their goal and then they kind of took over the game. And yes, we made it fun at the very end, 2-1, but they'll be saying we got unlucky because then LAFC got out in front. LAFC now is saying like we had a really bad start, slept walk through the first half. Then when we actually had a chance to make it a game and to Travis's point, like really turn the tide and see like, how can we get some momentum? Our player who you would have bet the world on misses. And then there's another chance right before they get their third goal that is basically cleared off the line. And so like luck is kind of broken both ways. So it's like, we're starting from a fresh deck here. The one thing that we can hang our hats on is the fact that we were top of the West. So we have home field advantage. Like at least this game is at home. This is where it's important. And I think Vancouver is always very different away from home than they are at home. And so those are the.
Aren't they better though this season away from home than at home?
Barely. I mean, they're just barely above 500. I mean, it's not like they went on the road and were like blistering. But you know,
I mean, they have looked good at points near the end of the season in a way that is, I think, somewhat concerning, right? They looked good at the end of the game last week against us. They looked good at the end of the game the last time we played them in the regular season. They looked really good against Portland, and today they outplayed us. So it's not. I don't think we have to stop underestimating them as an opponent at this point. I think we cruise through game one and we're like, well, we don't have to worry about this. I feel a little bit like I monkey pawed this because after the first game talked about how it didn't feel like intense and we need 1 game eliminations. And boy, do I wish that boy, am I happy that it's a 3-game series right now. Because now we're about to have a 1-game elimination game at home, which I do feel confident in our ability to win, but we are not. We see how random the playoffs can be, especially with no extra time. Look at the good boys from Columbus losing to a really bad New York Red Bull team.
Well, to be fair, we did say, like, as much as we clowned on Vancouver, we did say, like, if they outwork you, they do have quality players, and that's exactly what they did in this game. Yeah.
At least Vela made the flight. Did we talk about that? He just was at a Clippers game last night and didn't come up for the game.
I mean, priorities, man. Intuit Dome is pretty cool.
Yeah, he had to see the wall. Have you gone? Cosm's right there. Have you gone?
I've driven by it. It is pretty. It's a weird. It's different, like in a good and kind of weird way. Like you look at it and it's like this kind of indoor outdoor vibe for an arena. I don't really care about the Clippers though, so I'm not, unless someone's going to offer me like free tickets, I'm not going.
Sorry to interrupt this lively silence, but we've got another super chat from Daniel. He said, "I just wanted happiness before Tuesday. You're not getting it."
Sorry, more dread. And guess what? We're not going to know the answer to that on Tuesday either. You're going to feel that anxiousness for a long time this week. This is not going to be a fun week. Tuesday, it doesn't end Tuesday, guys. Just both sides are going to declare victory. I need everyone to know that. This doesn't end on Tuesday. Look, we have a caller, and he's the only one that's going to be able to cheer us up, I think.
Yeah.
We're
Absolutely.
This is a down game. We're feeling like shit. We still got a chance. And I'm so happy to bring in our most optimistic, our most fun-loving, our sweetie pie of the foot. Please welcome Mr. Joy, Jeff Talk.
Thanks for the really great intro, Travis. Really
no
solid.
Problem. So
Definitely
good to see your sunny disposition.
Definitely didn't overcook that one at all. So were you late because you were curing ballots in Nevada, or what's the deal? What happened?
I was voting multiple times. Yeah.
Same.
Got to do what you got to do.
I was looking up people who had died recently and writing their names on the ballot.
The other thing you can do is you can find a guy who died and his social security number and then just try and apply for his social security. It takes a long time, maybe like 1 in 10, but if you nail it, man, you got a good 15, 20 years of guaranteed money.
These are the sort of tips you get in our Patreon. If you guys want to commit identity theft,
it's true.
Check out patreon.com/happyfootsadvocate.
We have a starter pack.
Yep. And that, by the way, that would still be more ethical than being a realtor.
Oh no.
Thank you so much. It just reminds me, I have to give a shout out to the real estate agent of the pod, Caroline Wolf. If you need a house, give her a howl.
Yeah. Again, can't really overstate that Travis will next be pimping himself out for private prisons and cops, probably. You know what
Jeff,
I mean?
welcome to the show. Segment of Happy Feet or Sad Feet tonight about the game that you just watched.
All right, so the
Happy Feet Sad Foot segment brought to you by Monsanto Roundup. When you need your weeds.
Do you remember we were all mad about Monsanto for like 3 years? Everybody's all mad about Monsanto. Nobody fucking talks about it anymore.
You can't beat companies. They'll always win.
It's true. So I don't know if you guys know this, but they make an alcoholic Mountain Dew now. And
Whoa!
Yeah,
I
this is
did not
available.
know that.
Not at your local.
This explains a lot. This
not at
explains a
your
lot.
chain liquor stores, fellas. This is like a neighborhood mom and pop thing. You know what I mean? Like the InBev, they don't want you to get a hold of this thing.
Oh, you
But,
got it off
I
a
gotta tell you,
cooler on the street, like on a street corner, someone selling it out of
No,
the cooler.
you got to go to that liquor store that has the clown on it from Clueless. Do you know what I mean? That kind of liquor store.
Oh,
is
yeah,
very
yeah.
hard not
Okay,
to.
yeah.
It's not
In
going to
my
be
day, you had to
Total
make
Wine.
your own hard Mountain Dew.
Yeah,
This is too simple. You need to put some cough syrup in there, and you had to make yourself a nice drink. Jeff, what do you want to say about the game?
Oh, everybody's washed. Oh my God, everybody's washed. This is a team filled with laundry, my friends. Hollingshead, washed. Oh my gosh, so washed. Every center back apparently is washed. Segura, like the worst touch I think I've ever seen in a professional game. Like that touch when it was like off his foot 20 yards backwards, and he has to go and get the yellow, which we would have all said should have been a red had to be on the other team. Like just really bad.
Are you for real?
You and I, maybe you wouldn't because you have morals. I would be arguing for a dog. So had that been a Vancouver player taking out,
You think a player 60 yards from goal is as a definitive goal scoring opportunity with two other center backs within 10 yards?
If I'm trying to get the other team a red card, absolutely. You stand on too many principles, man. This is where like the happy foot sad foot thing falls apart. Because I'm mad, Vince. I want to be mad. Don't fucking tell me it's not.
I know, but
it's
like
not
that's
dog,
just a silly. But like, come on.
Anyways, we can all agree that Eddie Segura is absolutely 100% washed. We also, our big like free agent signing was a dude who didn't play tonight. Like, and my favorite thing is watching all of these motherfuckers make sideways passes for 20 minutes. We had a sequence in the first half where they were starting on maybe 60 yards away from goal, and two touched it between the three center backs, maybe 6 or 7 times, all the way back to Hugo Lloris. Hugo Lloris kicks it out. They get the ball back 20 yards ahead of where we started from. Every pass is sideways. We don't have anybody that can play the ball through except for Chanot, and he just decided not to play tonight. Like I don't know what's happening
from Chanot.
Say what?
That first goal was on Chanot and his inability to pass out of the back.
Yeah,
like all started with him Long made some mistakes there too, but it started with him cutting the ball back and forth and just passing it to the other team.
Yep. And by the way, I think Chanot's great. We should keep Chanot. It's not like an anti-Chanot in general, but it is like we should maybe like try and pass the ball forwards instead of side to side. I also think we're really old, man. Like we got a lot of old guys. Like I don't know, we got a lot of guys that are like hanging out. You know what I mean? And I'm a little worried that like we may have in Giroud have signed a guy who might want to hang out a lot. Like that's my worry. You know what I mean?
Well, let's talk about Giroud. Let's have this conversation while we have Jeff talk here, because I feel like he'll bring the right perspective to this. So First, I want Vince's.
Look at Vince's
I want
face.
Vince's
He's so
thoughts.
fucking mad at me. This is so great.
So talk to me, Vince. What do you think is going wrong with Olivier Giroud? I agree with what you said earlier. We cannot find him. It also seems like I said this in the Discord. The ball feels allergic to him. Passes are not making it to him, and the ones that do seem to be slightly off. He weirdly had an open net, not an open net, but he had a header on goal that he headed backwards to Matty Bogusz tonight, which like, I guess you could do when you're on a team that's more talented than our team, but like, please just go to the net, Olivier. It would be nice if you shot it at the net instead. Tell us what you think is going wrong, and then we'll let Jeff talk, explain to you why his version of the world is.
I'll try to keep it short.
Hold on.
Jeff is going to take
Rebecca Raverman wrote, I would love to see Jeff talk, coach AYSO. One, I coached a men's league in Los Angeles for about 10 years. We went from the first division in the LA Metro Muni League to the second from the top division. And I only lost going up to Super Metro by one penalty goal. So I'm spectacular. And B, I can't coach my sons in AYS. So I think that my wife would legitimately.
Yeah, they don't let sex offenders do that. Go ahead, Vince.
Listen, I had to pee real bad, Travis.
We actually were talking about something. What was going on?
Giroud.
The simple answer is everything you explained. Like they're not getting him the ball. You can't expect the man to score the ball without the ball. The first half was a wash. Like to your point about the center backs not being able to play the ball forward, I think the problem was the ball that they were told to play forward was to make that long switch, and they just kept trying it too many times and it wasn't coming off. The problem is you make that long switch, and then Hollingshead doesn't have a good game. Oliveira's already on the back foot because Fafa Picault has been giving him the business all game. And even when they do get into space, they can't cross the ball. And then you get into the second half where they actually get them into even better positions where the ball's on the ground. The guys are much closer to the 18. They're running at a back line that is running backwards towards their own goal, which is always dangerous, whether it's going to be hard for them to pick up a mark like Giroud or put the ball into their own net. And again, they still can't cross the ball. It was a real lack of quality. Could Giroud do more? Maybe, but he's not that type of player. Like, he's not a Messi. He's not going to go find the ball and carry it through 5 guys and score. So they're going to have to find ways to maximize the way he plays. And they're just not. They're not. And I don't know if that's a coaching thing or a personnel thing, but it's not good right now.
This is, I think, a legitimate question that you could have about Steve Cherundolo is, and I'm not saying that he's doing anything wrong necessarily. I'm saying, should he be rearranging the way we play around Giroud, or does Giroud need to do more to figure out how to work within how we play? Because right now it ain't working. One side has to move, right? And it feels like the minute we bring in Kai Kamara, things start clicking again. Even David Martinez, it's not like we played great, but like that flowing, moving offense, there's people running around. Like, Giroud stands in place because he's used to that. And he makes really good passes when we get him the ball, but we just can't find him in those final moments for whatever fucking reason. But it doesn't feel like whatever game plan we have right now or whatever team game model, as I don't know what the words are, Vince.
I think they legitimately tried. I think we were really on the right idea when we said early in the season that Kai Kamara is coming in and they're learning how to play with a 9. And there were moments, remember, they went through a series where they were playing with a lot more possession. They were getting a lot more balls into the box. And then they came up against a Columbus team and they got the shit kicked out of them. And then from there, they decided, no, we're going to revert back to the way we know we can win games. And you can kind of think about that and say, that's kind of understandable. Like, if you're the coach, your one job is to win games. You're going to say, yeah, maybe we could win this way, but I've decided that I'm going to revert us into a style where I feel like I give our team that little bit more of an advantage. And then they reeled off the run that they had in Leagues Cup. Yes, they lose to the Crew again, but they had a much better game against them. I think it's too much to ask a team to completely reinvent themselves for one player midway through the season. So and that was the game. That was the game. Well, that was the gamble they took, because they said Giroud is a transformational talent. We'll still take that gamble because he's still such a good player. And it's not like he's leaving after the season. We'll get to, we can make that change next season. But for now, if you have a chance to sign a Giroud, you do. And it just hasn't panned out quite the way that they wanted in both regards, in the style regard, and then Giroud actually with his fit, I played my hand a little bit there. I think Giroud's also not fit.
So when I said maybe he wants to hang out, and then you end with maybe he's not fit, that's my worry a little bit, is that he came thinking he was going to get a lot of service, and he's kind of come in and thinking he's going to be able to rest a little bit, and then he's not able to rest because he can't get service. And then I think this is my larger point is I think, and I've said this before, I think a lot of this is for next year. I think we overachieved with our roster this year. And I think with kind of a little bit of fool's gold, you know what I mean? And we remember early in the season, we were all, everything's terrible. And I was like, hey, we're going to get it together. We're going to get it together. We got it together. But I think a lot of the guys that are on our team now are not going to be on our team come the fall. And I think our team's going to look very different after the summer transfer window. If you get actually at Griezmann, you know that that's coming, and you've got Vela and you've got Bouanga, we're going to see a bunch of these wingers get shipped out. I think we're going to get a couple more midfielders. Please God, can we get another outside back that can play? I do think perhaps our expectations have been raised by them getting really lucky with Houston scoring the goal on Galaxy in the 101st minute or whatever. You know what I mean? Or 90th plus 10. I know we're not supposed to say 101st minute, Vince, but it doesn't.
Like Vince is our soccer dad. It's I didn't mean it. I didn't mean what I said.
We need it.
It's called football.
I mean? He's the Abbott to our Costello, the three of us. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Look, you actually said something that I agree with, which is rare. Which is, I do think that this is a next year thing, right? We have him. We're gonna figure out how to play with him next year, and especially if Griezmann's coming in and Vela is back to fit, we have people who can give him service suddenly, right? We have people who have that quality. And currently we set up a team to succeed that can win games in this league, but not in a way that Giroud needs to score. I still think we should start Giroud because when you have someone with talent like that, you don't not put him out there. He's probably the best player on your team.
And you're going to salt your relationship with him if you don't start.
Yes.
Right.
Which could affect signing maybe some of his other French friends who might want to come.
Well, and again, if you're the coach and you're like, my job is to win games and I have to make this decision before the game, I don't have the opportunity to look back and go, oh man, really should have maybe put Kai Kamara in there. In what world do you start Kai Kamara and everyone so that everyone can go, wait, you're not starting Giroud? Like, what the fuck are you thinking? Like, he's in a no-win situation.
Somebody also pointed out in the comments, Kai Kamara can't go 90 either, right? Like Giroud is more fit than Kamara at this point. They could both give around 60, but like I'd rather have Kamara come in as like frenetic energy at the end of the game, along with Martinez or whatever. Anything else you want to talk to us about before you go to your parole hearing?
It's a good bit, Travis. That's
smooth.
probably your best bit. It's hard to like come back from. You also know that like I am a father and I have children that like go to a school and stuff. So.
Right. Yeah. And if you
I'm
guys
like you're like cat.
If you could put the URL for the Child Protective Services in the chat so we could all file a complaint, that'd be really
dude. Man, sometimes I feel bad you aren't, Ellen. Other times I think maybe it's justice. Anyways, no, I don't really have anything else. I just I think it's gonna be. I think we're gonna have a better Tuesday than Friday. I'll say that, fellas. I'm a little more confident than you about Tuesday. I'm a little less confident than you about Friday.
The game's Friday. Is that? Do we know that?
It is Friday.
Cool, a Friday game. Well, Jeff, thank you so much. And genuinely, I think you made good points about Giroud. Would love to hear more good points from you in the future. Thanks for being here. I don't know, man. The games like tonight. I feel like since I came on, Darren, I haven't let you say a word. Anything you want to say?
Yeah. I'm gonna choose right now to be the time when I do my little rant about the turf. Okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
We're gonna do the rant about the turf now. Here's the thing. I don't want to come off like I'm blaming this shit on the turf. The turf is not the reason they lost the game, but I hate watching a game played the way that game was played because of the turf. It felt like a giant pinball machine. It felt like the turf determined what happened on every single play. They do have an advantage in that they are more used to playing on turf. My working theory right now is that after the motocross event, they laid brand new turf. So there's not even any sort of like imperfections to work off of on this turf. It's just all it just goes. I don't love watching a game of take these two teams out of it, take who won and who lost out of it. The way that game was played and the way that things happened is not a game I enjoy watching. It's just like who can react the quickest to the erratic way the ball is moving and bouncing is what felt like happened constantly throughout that game. Again, I'm not blaming the results on the turf. It affected both teams. They had a better time playing off of it. But it just sucks when it has.
So sorry to interrupt, Darren. We have a super chat from our good friends in Seattle, lobbing Scorchers $1.99. Turf doesn't make you defend like Swiss cheese. Anything you want to say to the good people of Seattle?
It does. It does.
I absolutely
does.
Darren, the response to this is we wish our team defended like Swiss cheese because they would have whiffed on those balls that they ended up kicking into our own net.
Yes. I think Turf does.
Has anyone said Hollingshead goal was beautiful? It was like if it was on the, I mean, he would have been offsides, right? But it felt it felt good.
Again, just same way I'm saying it's not the reason. It's not an excuse either. Like they were outplayed and they played like shit. At the same time, I watched the two other games today. I've watched every other LAFC game this season. You're watching a better soccer match when they're playing on grass. It's just true. Like it's objectively true. And even on other games I've watched them play on turf have not been as egregious as this. And it also didn't help if I may segue that it really felt like the ref was one-sided too. And I don't want to play it.
This is becoming sports radio.
I also did not enjoy watching the ref blow
Travis, let him cook.
So
don't
much.
Stop him.
When it was them and just not even think about blowing.
King of the Casuals coming on strong tonight there.
Yeah.
Look, I don't think
few casual complaints.
If the turf wasn't as shitty and the ref wasn't as shitty, I still think they lose this game. it just would. It was an even harder pill for me to swallow because of that.
Darren Miller, ladies and gentlemen, king of the casuals.
I was hoping you had a third thing because you really went from like strength to strength.
The third thing was the actual thing, which is that we sucked. We didn't bring it.
Oh, okay.
We decided to just sleepwalk, like you said, in the first 10 minutes. We let 2 goals in, and then instead of coming back from that, which we should have, we should have turned on the Jets in the next 10 minutes and gotten one back right away, which we absolutely could have, and we didn't. We just kind of let it play out like we always do, and we were already down 2-0. And it was even worse that after 70 more minutes of this, we couldn't even get one back. Like, that was embarrassing.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely frustrating that like you come out and it's not like I would have felt better, but it's frustrating that they come out from the half with Vancouver defending with 9, sometimes 10 guys behind the ball, and they're able to pull them apart so easily and create big chances. And it's like, but where was that when you got 2 goals scored on you in the first 13 minutes?
Right.
Like nothing really changed that much. If anything changed, it was that Vancouver was sitting farther back, and it should have made it more difficult for you. Yet you seem to find another gear. You seem to find another level. That's frustrating.
Yeah, I don't know. There were just it seemed like there were like automatic buttons that we could have pushed and didn't, and we kind of proved, like you said, that we could have, and we chose not to, and that they were pushing when we couldn't. Yeah, and again, I don't know how many times I have to say this because it's the obvious way that everyone's going to react to what I'm saying, but like I'm not saying like play it on grass and we win. I'm not saying play with a different ref and we win. I'm not making excuses. It's truly just very frustrating to watch games that play out that way.
I'll say to our good friends at Lobbing Scorchers up in Seattle, we complained plenty about the turf when we beat you in the Leagues Cup.
Yeah,
U.S. Open Cup. In the U.S. Open Cup, that turf weird turf at Star Fox 64 Field. Do a barrel roll. The weird turf at Starfire. At that weird little field, we hated that. We complained about it the whole game. We were just busy enjoying ourselves after the victory. So we always complain about this. It's not just in a loss. Starfire is better than everywhere else. I guess you've been locked in the cage in Starfire. Only one pitch has ever been peed on by Denny Bawanga, so I guess that does add some quality to it.
And we're undefeated there, so yeah, we love that place.
Oh, yeah, the train's going by. Choo-choo, baby.
Oh, I forgot about that. That was actually pretty great.
Starfire Station.
You are now made it to Starfire Station, where if you want to piss, it's a good place to piss.
It's a good place to piss. It's a soccer field.
That would be such a great sign. Starfire, a good place to piss.
What else we got?
I love Eric P is always the only person commenting from Twitter. Eric P, thanks for being the one watcher over on Twitter. It's nice to have you here. I do think I think you're a fan of another team. I think you've come in and made fun of us before. So always happy to have you, Eric. It's good to see you.
We're converting fans one by one.
All fans of opposing teams are welcome here.
We have multiple. We love getting shit talked. It's one of the joys of being live. Any positives from this game? Is there anything you could take away?
Absolutely. Yes. Of course.
I mean, if you're on the side of like your luck couldn't get any worse, you score 2 own goals. You're not able to then score in like glorious chances. Then like that's again, I know that people are upset because like you expected to win this game. You see that the crew are out, so you're like, oh yeah, this is looking really good for LAFC. But like that's the way the sport goes when you get some bad breaks and then you can't flip it the other way. Like we've said this before, sometimes ball don't go in net and sometimes ball go off own player into net. Like this is soccer. It's incredibly frustrating. And that's why it's like, and I think it's incredibly compelling to watch, but sometimes you can't just like sit here and rationalize and be like, it's Steve. And then it's the formation. That's this. No, like literally if the ball doesn't go off Hollingshead's foot or if Danny Bwaga puts that ball in the back of the net, like these are completely different games. But Vancouver could easily say just the same thing about the first game. So, like, again, that's the sport.
We talked about it in the
Totally.
preview. We talked about it last game. Playoffs are random, especially this for MLS is setting up a system that is inherently designed to create upsets, right?
Mhm.
No extra time no extra time. Go right to PKs. We all know Columbus is a better team than the Red Bull. They lost in the first round to the Red Bull. The playoffs are designed to create randomness in that way. Anything could happen. I do think there is a benefit to us getting punched in the mouth. And now we have our backs up against the wall too, which means every game in the playoffs from now on will be win or go home. I think that's good to just get this sort of, to agree with Jason, get this sort of softness from this round of 3 out of our system. And
I
hopefully
think that's true.
they'll be as mad as we are come Friday. If not, we could have our first real angry podcast.
Let's go
We
for
haven't
it.
had a true, since we've started the show, we got to MLS Cup. We've yet to crash out in a horrific way. Even after Leagues Cup,
That's true.
we still if we crash out in the first round, it's going to be must-see TV. We're going to be banned from BMO Stadium for yelling too loud in that little room about how bad the team is.
Oh boy, I can't wait. I'd rather wait though. I think you're absolutely right though. I don't understate that. Like you win in 2 games in the first round, and then it's just like you're just kind of relaxing for way too long, and then you go right into every game is do or die. It's happening now, whether we like it or not, and so at least it's happening in the first round and not in the second round when it's going to be harder to come back from. I guess another silver lining is Murillo saw the pitch a little bit.
Yeah, he didn't look held back by anything. Like he
Got some
seemed
fouls
fit.
in there.
Yeah, still doing his thing, still going in for slide tackles that maybe he shouldn't, but yeah, that's what he does. I do love that he probably could have pulled out of that slide tackle, and he's like, I'm only gonna get yellow for this. Fuck it, I'll just clean him out.
Yeah, he's doing it. Yeah, so he's like, that's 100%. That's 100%.
And let's be fair, they deserved it because that's one thing that we haven't talked about with Giroud. They are kicking the shit out of him. Like Tristan Blackman has undercut him almost every single time he's gone up for a header at midfield, and that's what I meant more so about. I don't think he's fit. I think he's carrying some kind of little injury or something going because he's just not running freely, and it can't be a fitness thing at this point. Like he's had plenty of games, he's had plenty of minutes, plenty of training sessions. I don't think it's because he's out of shape. I think he's carrying some kind of knock.
It does look like that. And I also think like part of the reason why I was so upset about the ref was that it felt like they were part of their game plan was to knock us around as much as possible.
Sure, they're a physical team. That's again, we said it in the preview. You have to meet their level of physicality. If they outwork you, they're then going to have the quality with guys like Ryan Gauld that they can actually finish off chances. There's a lot of teams that just beat LAFC up, but they're not very good. Vancouver is not one of those teams. They do have some quality up front.
So sorry to interrupt. Super chat from Jason. Losing on Friday creates a new hashtag.
Highly doubt it.
Dolo gone.
Highly doubt it.
We did say in our US Open Cup preview at the height of Dolo out chaos, if we lost in the first round of the playoffs, there would again be an argument for Steve Cherundolo to be gone. I agree with you that it is highly unlikely, especially because we ended first in the West and we won a cup. But I do think crashing out in the playoffs creates pressure for a team that's supposed to win trophies. But I do agree with you that it probably won't happen. Do you think? Let's talk about it. Talk about it.
I feel like everyone who brings this up just like goes one step too far. Like you're saying it's worth the conversation or it's worth it, like it's creating pressure, but then he's saying Dolo gone. It's like if everybody who's like of this point of view, if you just back up like one notch, then it's like a normal conversation.
So look, the end of every single season, whether you crash out in the first round, you lose an MLS Cup, you win MLS Cup, you would hope that the front office sits down and goes, okay, next season is completely start from scratch. What can we do to get better? And what did we do last season that we really liked? And I think if LAFC looks at this, they'll go like, yes, we got knocked out and we shouldn't have. We think we should have gone farther. What were the reasons? I don't think they're going to say, okay, you just coached poorly, because they have 40 games prior to that where like LAFC 1 was best in their conference, 2 won a trophy, went to a final of another tournament. Like if you're saying that the variation there is like, oh, if we get a better coach, we'll absolutely win. Find me that coach. but that's not the case. That's not the case. Like the variation could be that everything that you've put into place with the coaching staff and the team and the environment with the personnel, it could go incredibly wrong. Like the sway is, okay, Steve is going to get you to finals and you may lose them, or he's going to get you as the top of the conference and you may crash out of the playoffs. Like that's pretty good. Now, again, you can still have a conversation and say, maybe we like someone, maybe it is time to change the style of play a little bit. Although I do think Steve coaches to the type of players he has. He's not really like an idealist, like the way that, let's say, Wilfred Nancy is. He only plays one way. Like Steve will play pragmatically. But again, having that conversation is very different than, like Darren said, just being like, oh, we lost, he's out. Like that was it. That was done. Like we were this close the whole time to firing, when like that's never been the case.
I do think there is we've talked about it before. There's a streak of LA fans that insist on winning the trophy every year. And I get it. But like a funny thing happened to me this week. I went to
not sports, baby.
I went to Ye Rustic Inn to watch the Dodgers game 5. Turned out to be the game that they obviously won. I ended up at another bar where I was talking to a guy for a bit. And we had just won the World Series. Everyone's celebrating. And he was like, yeah, but I just don't really trust Dave Roberts to make these decisions. I was like, we won 2 hours ago. I get that people were mad about his pitching changes in the playoffs in other, like we had just won the World Series, the most random sport there is. It was just so funny. He's got them to the World Series like 4 times in the last like decade, which is crazy as it is. And 2 hours later, it's proof that there's a level of, once people get it in their head that they don't like a coach, it's hard to ever forgive that coach for things that they are upset about from the past. And I get it. I think there are people, we are a very pro Steve Cherundolo podcast. I think people rightly start shit with us for it. Like Jason just gave us $10 just because he knew it would cause us to spiral for the next 5 minutes. But like,
hope it's money well spent.
It is hard to, Vince always goes back to it. Like, it's hard to find a coach who has won this much in Major League Soccer in a small amount of time. And so if you have any other ideas of who could be better, we lost Berhalter. I know we all really wanted Berhalter.
And like, not to get like too in the weeds or too nerdy about it, but like besides that, like LAFC also leads the way, like by far margin most seasons in like all the other things, like expected goals and chances and shots and all the things that lead to success. Like there's no like silver bullet in this sport, as we've seen. Like we saw how unlucky the game can be in both these games. And we've all said it here. Like sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you don't. Well, the best way to like shrink those margins and to not have to rely on luck so much is to take a lot of chances and not let the other team take a lot of shots. Well, guess what? LAFC was near the top in shots taken, near the top in quality shots taken, and they were definitely at the top of limiting quality shots by their opponent. So that to me sounds like coaching. And now if luck breaks one way or the other, that's the way it is. And again, if they don't win the MLS Cup, they should still have this conversation and figure out, is it more luck or is it a style thing? And is there someone else available? But I think at the end of the day, they're going to look and go, wow, on the balance of things, sometimes shit just doesn't go your way.
There's a reason we're go ahead, Darren.
Well, I was going to say, I think this is not in any way disagreeing with you. I think this is agreeing with you. I think just to kind of underline this aspect of it that you kind of touched on a little bit earlier, even the people who want Dolo out, I think would be satisfied in a world that does exist, which is that they just decide with Dolo to just do things differently. Like players can play differently. Dolo himself can coach differently. They can get different players. They can decide to approach the season next season in a different way. Right. And there's no reason to say that he's not capable of being a leader in that different system.
I said it, in the first part, like Steve is actually placed in a good spot if they are going to do that. Like I would think that, again, I think Wilfred Nancy is a fantastic coach. I love the way he coaches. I love watching his teams play. But if he is in a situation, No, but if he's in a situation, I know, right? If he's in a situation though, where all of a sudden the team goes, "Hey, we're gonna be like, we're gonna be really direct, and we're gonna really play transition," he'd be like, I don't. He'd probably won't leave. He'd be like, "That's not how I want to coach. I don't want to do that." Whereas I think Steve is able to change his style of play depending on the personnel, and that's what he's doing. Like when we're saying here, we're like, we don't like the way Steve plays. He's a much smarter assessment of talent than we are. He watches these guys every day in training and says, like, this is the best way that these guys can play. Like, I know we want to play possession, but tell me what players there are really possession players. Like,
if you remember, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, Tillman's not a possession. Tillman's like the closest thing to a possession player there, and even he's a big transition guy. And I just want to touch one more thing because I think you guys put it up on the thing. Like,
Yikes.
Steve doesn't have the spark. I would say this. Like, you don't know what happens behind closed doors. Like, I guarantee you, I've heard, like, in open air, Steve light his players up. I can guarantee you at halftime when things aren't going well, he definitely has a spark just because he doesn't show it. Remember, these guys are grown-ups. Like, as much as you might love Jose Mourinho, like, acting a fool out there, there's a world in which some players are like, I don't want my manager to throw things every time I miss a shot because that makes me feel stupid. And that makes me, that doesn't breed confidence in me. But if he wants to behind closed doors because I'm an adult and I can understand that there's pressure, yell at me, I'm okay with that. But don't do it in front of, 40,000 people. And I don't know, it blows my mind that you want theatrics. That's fine. But just say that's what you want. You don't know for sure he doesn't have a spark. Like,
I wouldn't mind Vanni Sartini. I'll say that. I wouldn't mind Vanni Sartini as our coach.
Well, because that would make our show a lot better.
Yeah, honestly,
it'd be more fun to watch. We'd be worse.
If he's fired, we just need to bring him on as he should be a new host of the show. I don't if he ever loses his job in Vancouver, Vanni Sartini has a job here. I just want to go back to something
not
you said.
For money, just to be clear.
No, I'll
we
give
don't
him
have
like
any
that.
money.
It's fine. I want to go back to quickly something you said, Vince, because I do think it's a smart point that people forget. When we got rid of Bob Bradley, the reason we did it was that he was refusing to change how he wanted to play based on the personnel we had. We brought Steve Cherundolo in, and Steve Cherundolo said, "Oh, with the people you have, here's how we should play." And we won the MLS Cup that year. The next year, we got new people. We changed how we were playing next year. The next year, we played a little bit more in transition, and we got to MLS Cup final. This year, it took a little bit. We figured it out, and we did change how we're playing, and we're going to have to do it again next year. Bob Bradley is not capable of that. And like you said, Wilfred Nancy, the pride and joy of Major League Soccer, infallible Wilfred Nancy, a man who cannot lose big games. Yeah. Wilfred Nancy
never lost a big game in his life.
The only way that they can lose a big game is if half the team is sick. You're not going to convince
and they
me
bring
otherwise.
it up. They bring it up every time.
Do you think we're going to hear about diarrhea in New Jersey?
They might. That would be so funny. If
they
I was
brought it
Nancy,
up,
I would absolutely play that card again, just to be like, you're gonna believe it. So fuck it.
It was in the 85th minute. In the 85th minute of this game, before they had scored, in the 12 minutes of added time they got, which also was insane. The commentators did bring up the fact that they only lost to Pachuca because half the team was sick. Yeah. It's like, are you kidding? You're still talking about it? We at least admit we sucked in those games. We were bad when we played in Columbus. We were bad when we played.
Didn't you see the video of they were all working out on stationary bikes with oxygen masks? Yeah. So there's no way they would have lost.
Fucking dork ass. It makes me so joyful. I hate them probably. I hate the Galaxy the most, but I think I hate the Crew second most at this point. Just the level of reverence.
You didn't see the one guy who was suffering through off. He was just out of frame and he was just puking into his oxygen mask, and we didn't see it. You would have had a lot more sympathy.
Just like the worst. The way that they fucking lick the boots of that team as if they're like, I don't know, man. Messi's in the league. Talk about his team the way you talk about Columbus Crew.
See, you're talking about everyone except for Twellman. Then Twellman does talk about
right. There's already one guy with that shtick, Travis. They can't compete with that.
At least he's not doing that to the Crew.
The state-sponsored MLS media has picked their two teams.
I also want to say this is somewhat of a relevant point. I normally like the commentating duo that was on tonight, but I was kind of baffled by how they approached calling this game. It
It
seemed
was
very
a little
strange to
too
me.
it was a little too like nonchalant, like chuckle. They're like, "Hey, remember when I said that one thing to you like 5 minutes earlier?" And you're like, "There's a game still going on. Like, what are you guys doing right now?"
Yeah. They were
Also,
also
having
like
the mics were horrible to start the
mics
game.
were horrible. They also like it felt a little bit like
Yeah,
I
the
don't know.
audio was rough.
I was just already mad, but like there was one when Pawanga had the yellow, they were talking about how it should have been a red, and then they showed the replay, and he clearly to me it seemed very clear that it was just like the natural motion of his foot. Like he wasn't sure, give him a yellow, but like a red's insane to me. And then like not long after that, I think it was Berhalter had like a ridiculous tackle on somebody with an open chance just after that, and instead of that being anywhere near a conversation, it was like they just praised him for the tackle. There was another instance later where it was the same kind of thing when like Giroud had a chance. We stole their pass and had like a clear chance on goal. Giroud went down. It was an obvious foul. They didn't even call anything. It was weird. It felt like I was very frustrated about the ref, and then I was very frustrated that it seemed like they kind of were on whatever side the ref was on. And maybe it was just because they were losing, but like I was not used to feeling that way about the people calling the match.
Yeah, no, I think Keith and Mo do a good job normally, but they were like sometimes they get like slap happy. I think a lot of MLS well, I mean, we do it where we just start laughing and we start talking about things that are not soccer related. Maybe it's walkable cities or whatever, and you just you roll with it.
I also have a working theory that Mo doesn't like Keith.
Oh,
and he puts on a face every game.
We've talked
There's
about
a
this
weird
before.
tension between them.
There is a tension when they work together, and maybe it's like the banter element, like it's us and Jeff. But there's an element where like sometimes they're kind of like prodding at each other, and you're waiting for one to explode, which I would love.
It feels to me like Mo finds him very corny, and he knows that and plays into it on purpose.
Right.
Izzy brings up a great point that I think we should end on. Game was also kind of boring, to be honest. Yeah, I think that's a good way to talk about, honestly, the first two games of this series. We're tired of playing Vancouver. Game was also kind of boring, to be honest.
Wait, actually, sorry to interrupt you, but I think we missed a super chat.
We did?
Did we miss this from Daniel?
Oh, we did. We didn't see this. Daniel, so sorry. God, we really not beating the Daniel allegation. We hate Daniel allegation.
He says Travis will end up where Tom Wamsgans was supposed to end up. I'm vaguely understanding this. Does that mean prison? I don't know.
I think this probably came around when I was talking about how corporations can't be beat, and I was talking about like how much we love Monsanto. So my guess is like it has something to do based on what I was saying about how much I love corporations. But I'm sorry, Daniel, you're the first super chat we've missed.
Not anymore.
It's not helpful for our allegations that we hate Daniel.
All I'm hearing from you, Travis, is that you don't like Daniel.
So what you're saying is everyone can have an off game sometimes. We had an off day, you know. LAFC can have an off day.
Our only Galaxy fan that listens to the pod thought the game was great. Eric B, thanks, Eric. It's always good to hear from you.
Eric, are you a Galaxy fan? I'm confused. Earlier, you were like making fun of us for sounding like Galaxy fans complaining the way we were complaining, but like that was also a dig against Galaxy fans.
But he was talking about Vanni at some point too. I think he's a Galaxy fan. I'm happy to have a Galaxy fan listen.
Great, love it.
It's the slow creep of someone becoming an LAFC fan, and that's fine by me.
It's true. You're welcome here.
Yeah, we're shoulder to shoulder. It's fine. We won't tell them.
Block by block.
You watch the game and then you watch the LAFC podcast. Me thinks someone might be a little fan deep down. All right, this has been fun. Eric, let us know whenever you want to join the 3252. You have a home here.
We'll send you the link.
We'll send you a link. I'll pay your introductory fee, Eric. How about that?
Absolutely.
We slowly just start buying fans. Like in Civilization, where you buy the land. Sorry, go ahead.
Other fans think we do anyways. Not us, but they think that the club does. So we might as well just actually do it.
And once you become a fan, you start getting free rides to every away game. The team just gives them out. It's great.
Tickets, yeah.
Yeah. They pay for you to go to Central American countries. All right. This was a dog shit evening. I hope Friday it will be nicer. My gut says it will be. We miss anything before we call it?
We'll see you after the game on Friday.
We'll see you at the game and after the game.
We'll see you at the game and after the game. Yeah. Fuck turf. That's what I have to say.
Ooh,
Vince,
good ending. I don't
yeah,
want to step
That's
on
turf,
that.
baby.
That was such a good ending. Good ending.
I love you. Bye.
I love you. Bye.